Hello, my name is Carl Surrey and this is a video tutorial for two Facebook groups, fans of Serif software and the Affinity Designer and Photo group. In December 2016, not long after buying Affinity Designer, I made a video tutorial on making a snowflake. Now I'm going to make a version 2 and this time I'm going to do it in Affinity Photo. This is because one of the members of the Affinity Design and Photo group, Hilary Hartigan, made a PDF tutorial that she uploaded to the file section of that group, and in that she did it in a slightly different way to the way I did it originally, and also she used symbols, which I personally struggled to get to work. I'm obviously doing something wrong, but I couldn't get it to work. So I sort of merged my original idea with some of the ideas from her PDF to make this slightly new version, but this time I'm going to do it in Affinity Photo. You could do this in Affinity Designer as well, but I just wanted to show that it can be done in either program. So this is the end result of one of my attempts. Now the thing I will say is that if you don't follow things exactly hard and fast every time, you're going to get a different snowflake every time, which is the way it should be, because as we all know, no snowflake is the same. But I'll try and get as close to this as I can. And snowflakes all have 6 points, so this is something else that we got to aim for. So let us start making a new document. Now size wise, you can do whatever size suits your purpose, but I'm going to start with a new document that is 100mm by 100mm. The DPI probably doesn't matter too much, but I'm going to leave it on 300. And one of the important things is having a transparent background, so put a tick into this box here. Let me click OK. Now the reason for the transparent background is that we are going to save it without any background as a PNG file. I mean, I've only got this black background so the white stands out, but when we make this, we want a transparent background so you can add it to your documents, and whatever color background that you have will show through. So although we got the transparent background, it does help to have a dark background for us to see what we're doing. So in Affinity Photo, you can come up to Layer, Add New Fill Layer, and I think by default it will go to white, but we just need to pick a dark color, be it black or dark blue, just so that you can see what is going on later on. I'll make it that dark blue color. It's not that particularly important, just as long as it's nice and dark. In Affinity Designer, I don't think you can do the new fill layer. You may have to come up to like the equivalent of the gradient tool and pick solid, or just draw a rectangle and draw it over the area. But that's about the only real difference between Photo and Designer. So once we have the basics prepared, what we now need is to draw a double star. You can get this from the tools running down the left hand side of the screen, and you've got the star tool, but we want the double star. Now if you hold down the shift button when you do this, it will keep the image in proportion as you draw it out. I'll hold down the shift key and draw this out, get as close as I can to the edges. So you can tinker with the size a little bit if you want. And once I've got that there, what I'm going to do is just arrange it so it's in the center horizontally and vertically, and just click OK. Now at the moment this is a dark coloured star, and we want it to be a light one so that we can see it on that dark background. So I'm going to go for a sort of a whitish colour. Doesn't have to be perfect, because again we are not going to be keeping this or the dark background. These are only for guidelines. So along the top here in the context bar we have the fill, which is this white colour, and we have the stroke, which is currently set to black, but I'm going to change that to white as well. And I'm going to change the stroke size. Let's go up to 1 for now. I might need to alter that. Right, the next thing we want is 6 points on this star, so I'm going to change that to 6. And then I'm going to increase the radius. It's on 81% at the moment, but I'm going to increase this up to 100% so that all those lines go to the edges of the box, or the main ones do anyway. In fact, one of those has come off, so I'm going to have to just alter that slightly in a minute. And then the last thing to do in the preparation is this inner radius, and I'm going to drop this right down to 1 or 2. 2 might be 2%, that's better. Right, let me just get this back in the center. So again, I'll use the align tools, just make sure it's back in the center. Right, there we go. So this is going to be the guideline for drawing the snowflake. Now, although it says there's 6 points, that's 6 points on each half, so there's actually 12. So what I would now do is I'll just put a padlock on this particular layer. So this is a little padlock over here, which hopefully will stop it from moving it around accidentally. So, going on to drawing our first line. Now, you need the pen tool for this, and we've got the colour, which is white, stroke, that is white. If yours is different, you just need to alter them. And I'm going to make it a wider line, so I'm going to set this to, let's try 3 this time. I think I tried 2 on a previous effort. And then just click at the top once, and then hold down the shift key so it stays as a straight line, and come down to the center. So what that has done is altered my star, and it shouldn't have done. So let me just go back to the star and drop the line down again. Let's go quite low. So that's it. So that line is now thicker than my guideline, so I can see it quite white. I'm not 100% certain. So now we have our first line coming down, and I've just re-highlighted this layer because I had moved down to alter the star again. So I'm still on the pen tool, and this time I'm going to find a point somewhere down the around about here, just click once, and then I'm going to come over to this first guideline over here, but I'm going to move it up slightly to about, now quite why I lost that, I don't know, let's try that again. Click there and there. So I now have this line here, and I should have put this back up to 3. I must admit I'm not a big fan of the pen tool, I do struggle with it, but let's put that back at 3. So I have my first line going from there to there, and let me just zoom in a bit here. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come to the node tool, which is a sub menu part of the pen tool, and I'm just going to just nudge this back a little bit to about there, so it's not overhanging this guideline too much. So when I'm happy with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this curve layer, and I'm going to click duplicate, and then I'm going to come up to arrange and down to flip horizontally. I'm going to come to the move tool, and I'm just going to move this over to get it as close as I can to the other side. I mean, you could spend a lot of time, you know, drawing out guidelines and being 100% perfectly correct, but for what this is, I don't think you need to worry too much. So let me just move up a little bit, and I'm going to come back to the pen tool, and I'm going to draw a similar line going over to this guideline a bit further up. Now let me go about there and then over to there. So again, I'm going to come to the node tool, just nudge that back slightly, can even alter the angle. Alright, once I'm happy with that, like before, I will right click and duplicate, arrange, flip horizontally, come to the move tool and bring this over to roughly where I want it. I can use the arrow keys on the keyboard just to nudge it sort of 1 pixel at a time, left and right, up and down. Yes, I think that is okay. Let me just zoom out slightly. Right, so that's those 2 areas done. So now I'm going to want to draw some that are sort of going up in a different direction. Now for this I'm going to come back to the star layer, and I'm going to change the points from 6 to 12. And now this time I'm going to draw from this line to this next guideline so that it doesn't come the same distance over as these other ones. So I'll come back to the pen tool and I will make the size slightly different. Oh, I'm still on the double star, so I should be on the curve tool. I'm going to make the size slightly lower than the other lines. So let's go with 2 for these ones, whereas these ones here Oh, I've just changed. This is why I hate the pen tool. You never know quite what one you're on. Let's put this back to 3 because I was altering that line, which is the one I had highlighted. I'll have to draw the line first, I think, and then change its width. So I'll click about here and come upwards this time. Then I will change the size to 2. So it's only altering that one. And once I'm happy with that position, let me just zoom back in a little bit more so I can just see it. So I'm quite happy with that. I'll right click and duplicate, arrange, flip horizontally, come to the move tool, move it over, just nudge it with the arrow keys until you're happy. Yes, I'm happy with that. And then back to the pen tool, and then I'll just draw. Don't know what's going on there. Pen tool, 2 points. Nope. This is why I hate the pen tool. Let's just try that again. Let me just double click on this. Change that. Nope. Turn that white so it shouldn't be drawing. I don't know what is going on here. Right. Let's come off that tool. Back to the pen tool. Oh dear, the trials and tribulations. This is probably part of the reason why I can't get it to work in Designer, because I'm not very good with the pen tool and I'm not very good with the symbols. I don't fully understand why it's doing that. Let's try that one. Nope. Why won't it draw a line? Let's go into line mode. I really don't know what I did wrong there, but we've got around it. So I've drawn that one, happy with where it is positioned, duplicate it, flip it horizontally, come to the move tool and bring it over, position it how I want it. Right. Happy with that. Let me press Control and 0 to zoom out. And I will then, if I come down to this double star layer, if I just hide that guideline, not 100% certain why it's not hidden, but it should have done. I'm not having much luck here. Right, but hopefully you can see that that is the area. Let's come off that move tool. That's it. It's the move tool that was causing the problem. We have the first prong of the snowflake. Let me just bring back this double star, and I will reduce the points again back to 6 because I'm only going to need certain of these points later on, not all of them. So now you can add some extra things to these prongs, be them circles or triangles or whatever. What I will do is just go with a diamond shape, and again I will hold down the shift key and draw out a quick diamond shape. Come to the move tool, and I'm just going to put this at the top of the star. Right, so you had the slight embellishment at the end. And you can add other things. Let's go with some circles now. Again, hold down the shift key, come to the move tool, and I'm going to put that on the end of, let's zoom in, alter its size a bit, and its position. Let's go with about there, and then I will duplicate that, and then use the move tool and put it on the other side. Now duplicate this again, and what it's done is power copied this over the same position, but I'm going to just put that there. Right, I'll zoom out again, Control and 0. So I have some slight embellishments on the top part of this sort of prong, or whatever you want to call this. I'm not going to add ones to this. I will do this later to help cover up any areas that don't quite line up. So all I need to do now is to group all of these layers. So I'm going to click on the very top one and come down, and I'm going to hold down the shift key and click on the first one above the double star. I'm not going to do the double star, but just so that will include all the elements we've just drawn, and then right click and group. So that is them all joined together. So what I will do now is we're going to sort of power copy this around. So basically what power copying is you duplicate something, you move it to where you want it to go, and then the next time you duplicate it, it will repeat the process by moving it in the same distance as you did before. So I'm going to duplicate this, which you can do with this way or press Ctrl and J, and then above this area you have this little line with a little circle on the top. If you put the cursor close to the top, it will change to a double-sided arched arrow, which means you can now use this to rotate. But before you do that, we need to change the rotation point. At the moment you can't see it, but up here in this crosshair it's got show rotation center. If you click on that, you may hopefully just see this. At the moment there's a little blue target, which now means that at the center of this icon, this area, is the point that this will rotate around. So I need to move that down so it's in the center of this circle. this snowflake. So now when I rotate this, it will rotate around that point. And what I'm going to do is move this to the guideline that's about here, so that these areas are just touching. And now hopefully when I press Ctrl and J, it will power copy to the next point, and then press Ctrl and J again, Ctrl and J again, and then one last time. So that is pretty much just your snowflake virtually done. And now it's just a case of tinkering with the positions, because they're okay until it gets to about this point here, because that is overlapping. So I'm just going to nudge this one back slightly. It may not exactly fit the guidelines where you wanted them to be, but the guidelines are not going to be there with the finished article. In fact, I can now take those away. Let me just click here. Yeah, so they're pretty much okay. The center ones are touching okay, and like I said before, we can cover those up by drawing a circle. So make sure I'm on the top layer. Make this slightly bigger than the other ones. Come to the move tool. And then just put it over one of the joints. Duplicate that. Why didn't it duplicate? And now I just need to do the inner star ones. So we just highlight an area there, and I'll draw slightly small. Only trouble with drawing these small circles is it's very hard to get hold of them to move them, but let me zoom in a bit, might make this easier. Come to the move tool. Yeah, see, all I've done is move the rotation point. Come on. Alright, zoom in a bit more. Oh, I'm not having a good day today. That's it. click and highlight the top layer and hold down the shift key and click and highlight the bottom layer above the double star, and then group all those together. So that is now one snowflake finished. Now all you now need to do, if you want to, is to add some effects to this. So I can now just click on the FX button and the first one I'm going to try is the 3D. I'm going to increase the radius of the 3D effect to about 25, 26, which will help give you a little bit of light and shadow and what have you. You can also, you can add whatever effects you want, because you're going to make every snowflake different. So I'm going to add a little bit of outline, and the colour could be black. And you can't quite see it on this one. It worked better on the one I did previously. So I will forget that one for the minute. Let's try bevel and emboss. I'm going to leave this on pillow, and I'm just going to reduce the radius down to about almost 3, just so there's a slight double edge on certain areas of this. Yes, that's okay. And let me just add a slight outer glow. Let's go with a slightly yellow outer glow. Because if I bump this right up, you can see the effect, but quite how much outer glow you want to go with, it's up to you. I just want to have a very slight glow, so I'm going to come to almost 5. So I'm going to close it at that point. But like I said, you can add as many effects as you want. And that is the snowflake finished. So what I can do now is hide this black background. So we now have the white snowflake with no background at all. So this can be saved as a PNG and saved and used in other projects, and whatever project you put it into, that background will show through the snowflake. So let me just come up to File, Export, pick PNG, and where it's got areas, selection without background, and then just click Export, and I'm going to give this the name of version 3. And then save. So I've now saved that as a PNG. I can use that at any time. And that is the end. Sorry for the mistakes that have happened. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.